Before we begin, take a slow breath. Just listening to videos like this gradually rewires your nervous system. Not because of the words, but because your body finally feels safe enough to hear a different story about money, about receiving, about you. Hi, I'm Dasha. And if you're here, there is something I want you to know immediately. You are not struggling because you're weak. You are not blocked because you're doing something wrong. And you are definitely not behind. You are not behind. You're operating from a survival pattern that was never created for abundance, only for protection. You learned to survive long before you ever learned to receive. And survival speaks a different language. It says, stay small, stay careful, stay prepared. Don't relax, something might go wrong. So even when your mind is ready for more, your body isn't. Your system still believes you need protection, not expansion. Your body still thinks you need protection. That's why money slips away. Not because you don't work hard enough, but because your body doesn't feel safe enough to let good things stay. In this video, we will begin unlearning survival and creating space for receiving. Not through force, but through remembering the parts of you that were never meant to carry this much alone. Let's begin. Most women don't realize they're living in survival because survival doesn't always look dramatic. Often it looks responsible, it looks mature. It looks like you're holding everything together, but inside you're carrying too much for too long with no space to exhale. Let me show you what I mean. There's a woman I worked with, let's call her Anna. She wasn't falling apart. She wasn't struggling visibly. On the outside, she looked stable, composed, grounded. But inside her body, she was constantly bracing for impact, waiting for something to go wrong, afraid to relax because relaxing never felt safe. She lived in a constant, quiet bracing, even when nothing was wrong. Anna wasn't failing financially because she was irresponsible. She was failing because receiving requires openness and survival only knows how to contract. You can't receive when your whole system is preparing for loss. You can't feel opportunity when your body is scanning for danger. Survival makes expansion feel unsafe. And maybe you recognize this too. Maybe you're not collapsing, but you're never fully relaxed. You're functioning, but you're not expanding. You wake up tired. You go to bed thinking about what's next. You achieve something and immediately worry about losing it. Even in calm moments, your body doesn't trust the calm. Because when survival becomes your normal, peace feels suspicious, receiving feels dangerous, and money becomes something you chase, not something you hold. Here's the truth. Most women never hear. Your lack of ease with money has nothing to do with competence. It has everything to do with safety. And safety can be relearned. There's a specific kind of conflict many women feel but rarely name out loud. You want more money, more freedom, more ease, more breathing room. But when the moment comes to actually receive it, your body resists. Not because you don't want expansion, but because your system doesn't know what safety feels like without control. You want more, but your body braces instead of opening. You think you're being careful, but your nervous system is actually saying, if I open, I might lose everything. So it's safer not to try. And the more capable you are, the more convincing this inner logic becomes, because you can always explain your hesitation. you can always justify your delay. You can always make your fear sound reasonable. Fear often disguises itself as logic. Maybe this sounds familiar. You get an opportunity and you immediately imagine what could go wrong. You feel inspired, and within minutes you talk yourself out of it. You feel a spark and your body shuts it down before you even begin. Not because you're broken, but because your system learned long ago that hope is dangerous, that wanting too much can hurt. Your system learned that hope is dangerous. So you live between two truths. I want more, and I don't feel safe wanting more. And this tension alone is enough to keep anyone financially stuck. Because receiving requires openness, but openness requires safety. And safety is something you were never taught to build. Openness requires safety. This is the moment many women blame themselves. But what's really happening is simply a mismatch between your desire and your capacity. And capacity can grow. Most women do not choose survival. They inherit it. They grow up watching people who were always tired, always stressed, always carrying more than they should. And without anyone explaining it, your body learned to rule. If I stay small, I stay safe. If I want less, I get hurt less. She learned to shrink so she would not be disappointed. Maybe you grew up in a home where money felt unpredictable. Sometimes it was there, sometimes it disappeared, and your nervous system absorbed the message. Do not trust good things. They do not stay. Or maybe you had to be the responsible one, the calm one, the adult in the room, even when you were a child. And your safety came from being in control. Control became her shield, not her choice. As you got older, the pattern stayed. You did not take risks because risk felt unsafe. You did not ask for help because help felt unreliable. You did not dream too loudly because disappointment felt dangerous. This is not your fault. Your body was trained to protect you, not to expand you. Her body was protecting her even from what she wanted. And maybe no one ever told you this, but your survival strategies were intelligent. They kept you stable when stability was not guaranteed. They kept you functioning when you should have been supported. But now, these same strategies are blocking the life you want. They keep you preparing instead of receiving, working instead of resting, controlling instead of trusting. The pattern kept her safe, then now it keeps her small. You did not fail. Your system simply never learned the feeling of safe expansion. But it can, and this is where your life begins to shift. And here is something most women never realize. You can outsmart a problem for years. You can analyze it, journal about it, understand every layer of it. But your body will not move until it feels safe. This is why you always return to the same patterns. Not because you lack discipline, but because your system believes stillness protects you. But your body will not move until it feels safe. Safety is what unlocks momentum. And the moment you stop fighting yourself, your energy stops leaking and clarity becomes effortless. This is the part no one teaches us, because the world rewards the woman who pushes, not the woman who regulates, softens, and listens to herself. Clarity becomes effortless. And before we end today, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not here to fight your way into abundance. You are here to remember that you were never meant to struggle alone. Life responds to softness, not collapse, not pressure, but softness that comes from inner safety. Life responds to softness. And maybe no one ever told you this, but you do not need to earn your right to rest. You do not need to perfectly heal before your life begins to open. You just need one moment of honesty with yourself. One moment where you stop pushing and you simply allow yourself to be here, exactly as you are. One moment where you stop pushing. Before we close, there's one more thing I want you to hear. Your life isn't waiting to begin someday in the future. It's happening now, in the small moments you dismiss as not enough. The quiet mornings when you open your eyes. Life is already happening now. The way your chest softens when something finally feels true. The relief you feel when you stop pretending you're fine. These moments are not distractions from your path. They are the path. And I know you've been taught that everything changes only when you push harder, move faster, achieve more. Real change begins in the body, before it ever shows up in your results. It begins the moment you decide to stop abandoning yourself, just to keep up with a pace that was never meant for you. So before you take the next step, I want you to feel into this question, not with your mind, but with your body. What if nothing is wrong with you? What if you simply needed safety, not pressure? What if the reason you haven't moved is not because you lack discipline, but because your system has been asking for rest, for clarity, for a slower rhythm that actually feels like you? You don't have to earn your right to breathe. You don't have to exhaust yourself to be worthy of receiving. Your softness is not a liability. It's the place where your true power has been waiting. When you honor your softness, your life begins to align effortlessly. This is where your new chapter begins. Not with pressure, not with perfection, but with presence. Now we can continue. And I want you to say this with me quietly or out loud. I release the pressure to be perfect. I release the fear that keeps me small. I release the belief that I must struggle to deserve more. I release the need to control everything before I move. Now breathe. And let this be your point of no return. A moment your nervous system will remember. A moment where something in you softened instead of tightened. A moment where a new path quietly opened. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are simply remembering who you are. And if you give yourself a few months of practicing softness, of choosing presence, of moving from grounded honesty, you will not recognize your life. Let this be enough for today. Let yourself be enough for today. And when your mind forgets, come back here. I'll remind you again. With love, Dasha.